नहीं but
Okay, almost. Okay. Yes, we are live. So welcome everyone. Sorry we were a few minutes late. We were just trying to get this thing to work. So thanks everyone for logging in. And this very special panel discussion of First on Pawai Live, we have today for the perfect people to address you, the Pawai community and Mumbai at large, as we're coming to terms to life post-COVID. We're grappling with it, but we have the right people in front of you to talk to you about it, the new normal as we coined. Just a rough structure of the chat. We'll start with a quick introduction to everyone. We'll have Dr. Niranjan first, Dr. Chatterjee, and the amazing lineup of all the doctors one by one. We'll have a few major talking points where a lot of them can add, a few comments and quotes as we go along. And of course, in the end, we have questions which all of you have sent to us. And we are looking forward to have those done. So first of all, let me introduce the absolutely esteemed panel. We have with us Dr. Niranjan. He needs no introduction. And he has not only put Pawai on the map of the city, the state, but everywhere else. And I think not just us, but the entire nation, the business community, the corporate world looks up to leaders like you in times like these, where we have no precedents to go by. And I'm hoping that in this call, there's a lot of those insights. There's a lot about what needs to be done that is thrown light on. Moving on to, we have Dr. Chatterjee. He is absolutely special. He's a CEO of our own Hiranandani Hospital that we call with great love, but then it's an award-winning, one of India's best. And he has led the fight against COVID since the early beginning days. And that's how, my respect for him personally has gone up many, many notches. And he was very insistent when we were deciding this panel that he's not going to come alone. He's going to come with his, with his entire panel of doctors and specialists. And so there we are. We have Dr. Harish Shetty, a dynamic public figure and a psychiatrist who has done path-breaking work in the prevention of suicides and substance abuse. I don't need to go deeper in those topics. I think we know the importance of having people like him speak to all of us as we are grappling with the situation that we're in. Dr. Neeraj Talara, infectious disease specialist and a leading physician who's relentless in his fight against COVID. Dr. Bimal Pahuja, he's a metabolic medicine specialist who is widely quoted for his work in diabetes and now a COVID warrior. And we've all heard the whole conversation about comorbidities and diabetes and the work. So I think this is a very, very important person to, tune into right now. Dr. Shalini, she's a rheumatologist at the hospital, a postgraduate teacher as well, who's been at the forefront in the fight against COVID. She has a lot of energy, and I have seen that for myself, and it's matched with absolute amazing clinical skill. Dr. Austin, a psychiatrist at the hospital who has been constantly evaluating the COVID warriors and counseling them to see the morale is always high. And, we know that that's important. The community and everything is led at the moment by the frontliners, and their mental health, their motivation levels, they're dealing with the fears, personal, all kinds is absolutely essential. And that's what he's been looking at the last few months. Dr. Arpita, she's a sheet anchor at the ICU, the word that scares all of us right now. She plays a pivotal role. It's always a life or death situation for her, and she manages that day in and day out. I've been told almost 90 days on the trot. So welcome, ma'am. Dr. Swapnil, a pulmonologist at the hospital and who has a critical responsibility of evaluating lung function of the COVID patients. He's also researching the long-term effects of COVID virus. And we have a lot of questions and a lot of doubts that people want to ask him. So I think we're going to jump in straight to this. A few pivotal points that we're going to have the conversation structured around. COVID, it's a new world disorder. It's taken us by surprise. How do we deal with it? A huge amount of fear. What does the fear manifest itself into? Physical and also psychological, social, all kinds, socioeconomic. There is no established line of treatment yet. And what do we expect there? So we're going to have Dr. Neeraj speak about that as well. No one knows and fully comprehends the full long-term ramifications of this virus on the body and mind. And I think that's important to understand as well. The psychological impact of the way things are going in the doctors community and the essential servicemen as well, because I think that's very important. They are ahead in this war and they need to be fit and fine for us to kind of keep relying on them. So I think that's a very important point for us to think about and talk about. The need to talk about civic sense, finally, it's time. And the need to talk of more structured social norms, I think discipline overall. And then, of course, how do we deal people, entrepreneurs, community at large? So that is the structure, that is the things that you look forward to in this discussion. And I'm going to start the panel with Dr. Niranjan. So decades back, when you set out to design a residential complex, it was your vision that made it more than just that. You built communities. And look, today, Powai is home for us. We kind of gather around it. Someone is in some trouble somewhere and we all there for them. I think that warmth, that helps you feel at home. And that's what Powai Life is about. We kind of connect to each other. And so I've seen that I've traveled in more than 10 cities in my life. I've lived, but now I call this home. So the additional foresight that you had to build a hospital, and not just any hospital, not just ticking a box, but to build a world-class hospital that is able to right now genuinely lead the fight, was, I think, a foresight which is really proving good to us right now. And it's a beacon of hope, not for us alone, but for pretty much everyone around Mumbai. So the panel is now open to you, sir. We would want you to start by telling us, how do you think, in your opinion or in your thought process, will life change post-COVID on a personal, community, and a business level? Your insights are what we look for right now.
Thank you very much, Pallavi, for this lovely introduction and the story into COVID. I have never seen a situation that I'm seeing today. I don't think when I worked on the hospital, named it after my father, and I built it, never did I expect a kind of a war zone that I'm seeing today. Totally unexpected, totally unknown, something which is absolutely scary, to say the least. But today we have a wonderful team which are institutionalized into the hospital, led by Dr. Sujit Chatterjee, the wonderful doctors that you see who are not the generals. They are actually the generals who actually get into the war zone themselves and fight the cases. Each one of these doctors have a family, have elders, have children, and each of them are actually fighting a situation wherein every time they go into the place are in danger of themselves contacting COVID. And looking at the situation as it is, I want to congratulate Dr. Chatterjee, each and every doctor that is there. We have 57 full-time doctors, but these ones which are here front leading them and the other people. We have more than 250 nurses. We have other supporting staff who clean, sanitize, look after the whole place and run the hospital. I must say, congratulations to these warriors who are absolutely front leading the situation in a situation wherein their own fears are being kept aside and moving. So thank you, each one of them. I'm really grateful to each one of you. The second most important thing, which I do believe, is the kind of cooperation which has been given by the people in Powai and otherwise. I think people understand very well the kind of disease that we are looking at, the type of virus that we are, I think a lot of it has been talked about. And I think we all understand the care that we need to take, which has been repeated time and along, wearing the mask, keeping social distances. All these are a duty for all people, not only living in Powai, but living in the entire universe, in this earth of ours today. And I impeach you, please don't take any unnecessary risks in terms of moving out and trying to be foolhardy. This is not one of those situations where one should take such stupid steps in order to do that. Because while the hospital is ready to treat you, if you have a problem, why do you want to foolishly get into the situation that we are now talking about? The hospital, according to my records, has already had 934 inpatients after 16th of March, which is a lot of patients looking at the COVID situation in the city. For a hospital of this kind, really humongous task, and each patient is a difficult case which they need to take care of. So these are all special issues which have been taking place, and I can assure you the kind of attention which has been given by all of them is something. I salute you all for the wonderful work that you all have been doing. Dr. Harish Shetty, I know the minds of people are really in trouble, including probably some of the doctors who have got relatives and patients and other people who must be not well. And I know that you're taking care of all of that in the minds of the people also. And that I think is equally important in this state of time. We have seen a very famous actor who committed suicide in spite of being so successful. While the situation, the economic situation, as we know, is quite bad, not only for companies like ours, but also the hospital and others are actually struggling in order to make the situation manageable. So I'm really happy today to share with all of you that our hospital has been doing a fabulous job in terms of meeting up to this crisis. They always met up to crisis, but this is a special war which has taken place, and it is unprecedented ever in at least my whole lifetime. So it is really wonderful here to share these thoughts and with all of you. I would rather leave it to the doctors and the rest of them to give you an idea as to how things are with them and what their advice and guidance is. Thank you very much, Pallavi, for calling me here today, and looking forward to hear from all the rest of them.
My pleasure, sir. We'll come back to you. We have some specific questions, but I will move on to Raksharaji now. Sir, I've known you personally and respected you for the clinical approach you've taken. And I want you to start by talking about literally the new normal, as we're saying, because your insights about, how is this crisis to be dealt with as we now look at unlocking as well. There are so many questions and doubts and fears in everyone's minds about, is it an old person's disease? Are the youngsters fine to go out? Are the kids going to be fine? There are a million questions, and some people are sometimes afraid to ask, ashamed to ask, and maybe hasty to act. And people are somewhere bored and exhausted of this lockdown. But does that mean the risk is behind us? Some people say that looking at the statistics every day is not helping us as well. But then so is not going to be if we put our head in the sand. So how do we look at this quagmire?
I think at this particular point in time, one has to accept the fact that COVID is here to stay. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. So therefore, I think the first thing is acceptability, that there is a disease. The second part is that it is preventable. So therefore, as Dr. Niranjan had said, the wearing the mask, the civic sense part of it, the social distancing, wearing the masks, ensuring that you do not put yourself at risk, and at the same time don't put other people at risk. So those are some of the preventive measures that one can take, but these are not all the preventive measures. So acceptability and prevention, that's the first thing. The second part of it is that, yes, I mean, this is a disease which we've never faced before. We don't even know, how it is going to hit us. When we started off way back in December and January, in December 2019, we started having clinical meetings just to find out what we knew about the virus. And then after that comes Jan, and we'd heard that cases in Kerala. We started getting ready, but we thought that we knew it all, but we didn't. When come March, we really understood what the impact of it was going to be. And that's where we started gearing up tremendously. So we organized a fever clinic. We ensured that the hospital functions as a COVID and non-COVID hospital. So therefore, see, the point is that you may just have COVID, but you may also have a heart attack. So what are you going to do then? It's not that you're not going to come for pain in the chest. And at that particular point in time, I'm not going to test you for COVID. I'm going to treat you. So therefore, how do you protect yourselves? So we started this entire thing, and then there were the shortages of masks, the shortages of protective clothing, and we were concerned about our own staff because they were the frontliners, they're the firefighters, they are the warriors. So how do you protect your warriors? You can't let your warriors go into the field completely unprotected. So then came the thing about, treatment, and all the professionals got together and we had definitive forms of treatment and therapy. It doesn't spare anyone, right? We've had infants who were born 21 days old, 18 days old, who we brought around, and they were COVID positive. And at the same time, we have 93, 94-year-old people also who come to the hospital. There's no caste, there's no creed, there is no religion. It hits everyone. So therefore, it has got to be absorbed as a thing which is going to stay. Just like the swine flu, we beat it. We will beat COVID also. But this is something newer, much newer than the H1N1. And so we are coming to terms with it, but we will certainly beat it. So therefore, acceptability, prevention, understanding that the medical fraternity is getting on top of things, and at the same time, ensuring that when you are ill, do not hide it. It's something that you shouldn't hide. Come, we will help you out. We are in this journey together. That's, I think, from my point of view.
Thank you, sir. That's oddly reassuring. Actually, that is reassuring. So I am going to move. We're going to come back after the first round of getting to all the doctors. Dr. Arpita, we'll start with you. You manage the critical care unit. So I thought that my first question to you would be, how do you go about day after day, the challenges you face? Do you even get to put things in perspective? Tell us about the challenges you face every day with your patients, your staff, the wards, everything.
Your mic is on mute, Arpita.
Arpita, you just have to.
Ma'am, you can
Yeah, I have. Yeah, now I have unmuted. Yeah, basically the challenges here are when the patient comes in, they are in different stages. I think first thing is that 3 months back when we started, the problem was I was also not sure how the disease progresses, how to treat them, how only we had read about it and we had what was happening in China, and that time what was happening in Italy and Spain and also in US. That was the biggest challenge when we started. This is a new disease, and what was the course, we were not aware. Second thing, what happens, the patients, they came to us in a different stages of illness. Initially when they come, they are viremic. Later they go into immune phase. So there the treatments are different. And what has happened in these 3 months, the clinical practice guidelines have been changing. Many old drugs were there, which were using, that has gone out, and that another group set of medicines have come in. Third most important thing is that the family and the patients, they come with a different level of awareness, and they are confused, they are scared. That also have to be handled, because they come because of this WhatsApp and the many channels, whatever, YouTube. They are aware. They are aware, but they are not fully aware. They have they are not they really do not know the real disease condition. So I have to, so many times I have to unlearn that. Whatever they have learned, I have to tell them, no, it is not exactly true. And when all of us by now, you people have realized this is a disease which wreaks havoc in lungs, and to certain part it is in the kidney and in the immune system, and also vascular system. What is vascular system? All of us, we know that they are requiring oxygen, they need ventilator, they need different few are on 5-liter oxygen, few are on 10-liter, few are up to 60-liter, few are on non-invasive ventilator, few are on invasive ventilator. That is one. Second thing is, many patients, they come with heart attack, few they come with a stroke, few they come with the leg getting gangrenous. I mean, blood vessels getting blocked, causing different sets of problem. Third thing is kidney. Most of the patients, those are having kidney dysfunction, it gets worse. What happens when the patient has a bad lung? We try to dehydrate them, and that is very bad for the kidney. And then the fourth is their immune system. After 8-10 days, suddenly they have some type of immune reaction, and they start deteriorating very fast. And sometimes they do not give us time. Basically, as a critical care specialist, I take care of 5 to 10%, 8 to 10% of moderately severe and severe infective COVID patients, where the mortality also is very, very high. Morbidity, mortality. Suddenly, we had to deal with prolonged stay in the ICU. Our ICU, we had very short average length of stay was not that high, maybe 5 days, 7 days. Suddenly, that is gone to 2 to 3 weeks. It's very difficult to explain the relatives. Another thing, what happens, very, very sick patient, they are in the intensive care unit without meeting their relatives. And the relatives, they want to see, they want to know about the patient. And so I keep telling them that they are sick, and they really want to converse with them. And here the patients are also it's very difficult for them. They are in the intensive care unit where they don't see a normal human being, because all of us are in PPE. We are totally covered. They cannot see the human, who are. And if at all they see, they are sick, they are fellow patients. They are extremely sick. This is very, very difficult. These are all the challenges. Managing the patient professionally, like their medical aspect is one aspect. These are the social aspects are also plenty, because these patients, they are not oriented to day, time, and then all the time lights are there, all the time monitors are there, and they don't see a normal human being, because all of us are totally covered with PPE. As if something, when they open their eyes and they see only we with a white dress, fully covered, cannot even see our eyes. And then second most important thing, if they see their patient, these patients are all sick, they are on ventilator. These are all, I think, different challenges what we are facing. I do not want to discuss about the treatment aspect. It is very confusing. I wanted to tell what are the challenges the patient, relatives not able to meet. Sometimes they are also quarantined. They cannot calm down. These are all different, different level of challenges, what I had never faced. I had not faced. Not only I, my full staff, they had never faced.
Thank you, ma'am.
This type of problem. Okay.
It sounds A, unprecedented, and B, that you're trying to learn from yesterday and today. And I think one step at a time. But thank you, ma'am, for keeping that smiling face through this, because it's easy for us to read and global news and everything, but when I hear it from you, I can feel it. So thank you, literally, thank you, ma'am, for being in that, literally the face of in front of on the border, the absolute frontliner there. Everything else sounds irrelevant then. but I'm going to go on. What keeps you motivated to continue to do this despite all the odds that you just said? And I know it's not easy, but quickly, what motivates?
I think the single most factor is that saving the life of the patient. I think that is the biggest motivation for me. I know I'm professionally trained to do that. And last 20 years, I'm always in the intensive care unit. And it's not it's the we. We have tried our best to save the patient. Same way here, I think that is the biggest motivation for me, how to make a difference to the life of a patient and their relatives. It's not only the patient, it's the whole family. That is, I think, the biggest motivation for me, which keeps me going.
Hats
to
off.
save the patient.
Hats
Okay.
off. What are some of the personal cares?
Basically, if you have fear, you cannot work. I don't think so. With fear, I cannot get into the ICU. Yes, definitely, I feel bad, and when I lose my patient, I do everything, and then sometimes I feel very depressed. I try my best, but I do not have fear. I think with fear I cannot get into the intensive care unit. I'm the leader. People should look at me. If my this thing would stop, whole ICU would, they would lose the motivation. I have to. When till the end, I know that I may not be able to save this patient, but I keep myself, no, I would not show that the patient, we may lose the patient. I have to, I keep thinking.
You are a hero. You don't need to, that is very clear. You are a hero, honestly. No. One thing I wanted you to tell, and it wasn't on my list of questions, but can you give one message from your point of view, from a point of view of a doctor who's at the ICU looking after those very critical patients, any message that you have for the people who care for them? If whatever is in our hand, we will try and spread that message, that maybe be patient or keep the faith. Do you think it'll help, or do you think that really cannot be? Is there a message that you want to give to those people who wait outside? Well, no one's allowed to wait right now, but let's say the people who are concerned and hence making your job a little bit more tedious and layered. Any message for those people?
To people, I interact with relatives daily. My only message to them is that they have to be patient. This is a disease. It's a very unusual situation. The disease is also very unusual for us. It is a very different presentation. They have to be patient because the course of the disease is nearly 3 to 4 weeks, maybe more than that. I cannot save a patient quickly. And they have to understand we have also our own limitation. We are not able to save everybody, but we are trying our best. Now we have many more good drugs. Antiviral drugs have come in, which we are going to use early, which may change the outcome. They have to be patient. They have to believe us. And I think they have to be with us. And second most important thing is that don't take it lightly. Don't go out unnecessarily. Don't be careless. You have to be absolutely on the guard, because a few seconds of negligence, you will get the infection. And that is the same thing is for the healthcare workers, because we are handful of people. We cannot take it lightly. We cannot get infected. We have to believe in that we have to take utmost care so that we should not get infected. It is not that we are scared of the disease. No, at this stage, we cannot be out of the job for 14 days. I think that is very important for my healthcare workers. They have to believe, they have to work, and they have to see to it that they don't get infected. That is very important. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Dr. Neeraj? Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi everybody.
So Dr. Neeraj, we have an invisible enemy, or let's say a player these days, the WhatsApp University. I want you to start off with clearing a few usual doing the things doing the rounds. Old people, young people are safe and we can go out, the oldies can stay at home and the works, and all of those. I've spoken to you quite a few times. Could you just start with telling everyone who's tuned in and everyone who will look at this in the days to come, how serious is this and how unpredictable is the outcome, and how, whilst you are all working at the modalities, and you will speak about that in the minutes to come, but as a doctor, and every doctor I speak to tells me to just stay safe, stay home as long as you can, stay home. I want you to start with that. I want you to dispel a few of the doubts that people have. अरे नहीं, हम तो ठीक हैं, हम ठीक रहेंगे, हमें कुछ नहीं होगा.
Yeah.
Please, yes.
Yeah, I think that is very, very important to know. And let me tell you that no one is immune to this virus. That's why this was named as a novel coronavirus, because no one has an immunity to this virus. So whether you are absolutely fit, or you are a youth, or you are a senior person, or you are a comorbid, no one is immune to this virus. Yes, the course of the disease may be different in the different type of, the profiles. So let me just, the brief that we have a 3 category of the disease, like the mild category, the moderate category, and the severe category. Mild category is almost 70 to 80% of the people belong to that category. Whatever you give them, whatever medicine we give them, most of them are asymptomatic and they will recover by their own. The second category comes the moderate category, which is very, very crucial, very, very important, because these are the patients, if they do not get treatment on time, they do not reach hospital on time, they progresses to severe category, and where the mortality, as Dr. Arpita has said, very, very high. So our job, like when we are working the COVID ward, is to treat the patients who are in the moderate category, to make them safe, to make them absolutely fit and send them home, not to progress them to a severe category where they'll end up in ICU and where the mortality is very, very high. Yes, few people which, the actually directly comes in the severe category, they have to, visit to the ICU and admitted in the ICU. So no one is safe. If somebody is in a, is such a dilemma that, okay, I am very healthy, I had never any disease in my life, and I will never be, having any problem with this infection, I think he's very, very incorrect. We have seen, like now when we are working since 3 months, we have seen the patient. I think we had a first of our patient who, who had a significant problem, and ultimately we lost that patient. It was just around 40-year-old gentleman and did not have any problem. And so that's how it is. So it's not like only the senior people will die. Even the young people are dying. You are seeing the, news every time, every day in the newspaper, this one died, that one died. So no one is immune. So we have to practice the safety precautions, hand washing, wearing mask all the times whenever we are out, and the social distancing. That is the only safe bet that we can stay safe, and then we can protect us, our family, and our friends.
Thank you, Doctor. Doctor, do you want to talk about the newer modalities that are coming around the COVID treatment? Because there is so much in the press, but you're the right person to talk about it.
So see, since last 3 months, we are seeing that every week some new medicine comes. We started with the HCQ and azithromycin. Ultimately, it came in the ICMR guidelines. We started using that. Then we had the trial came from the Bangladesh. We started using the doxy and the ivermectin. These are also the medicines which were used as orally. Then we had the multiple other medicines. The use of the steroid came new. Recently, we had the paper published from the British that the use of a steroid. But let me tell you, we were using these steroids since almost more than a month, and we had a fabulous outcome of the uses of these low dose steroids. Then we had a recently launched medicine like a favipiravir, which we recently had. Last 19th only the government has given them a conditional approval to use in the patient in the mild to moderate category. And yesterday only we have got the approval for the remdesivir, which is the newly launched medicine in the treatment of the corona. So there are the multiple medicines which are coming, which are continue to come, maybe as and when we'll progress. But all the medicines which we are having even till now, whether it is a favipiravir or whether it is a remdesivir, there is a tocilizumab we have. It's an immune drug, is a IL-6 inhibitor. The IL-6 is one of the cytokine which is responsible for the most of the complications in the severe category of the patients. So there are many medicines which are already there. The new medicines which has recently come, favipiravir, the remdesivir, the tocilizumab we are using since last 1 month. But let me tell you again, the focus remains the moderate category of the patient, because all these medicines, they mostly work in the moderate category of the patients. Once we land up in the severe category, then we have really tough time. As Dr. Arpita has said, the average length of stay is 2 to 4 weeks, and still, we are not sure whether the patient will go home or not. So the exact, main stress always remains on the moderate category, and uses of all these drugs which I have told has been approved only with the mild to moderate category of the patients. So we have started using almost all the medicine depending upon the type and profile of the patients.
Okay, sir. Doctor, just to be clear, these are all as per doctor's advice and prescription. People are not supposed to store these at home and hoard and assume, right?
No. Obviously, so that's a very, very important advice. If you have even a normal fever, cough, cold at this time, not settling in 48 hours, you should visit your doctor. You should consult your doctor. Let the doctor decide whether it could be COVID or not COVID. Let him only advise you whatever medicine he wants to advise you. You cannot take, like, we had earlier when the HCQ was, the launched, or HCQ was given the ICMR approval. Everybody was behind HCQ, that I want to take HCQ, I want to take HCQ, that like a HCQ is a Sanjeevani booty, that somewhere everybody will be saved because of that. So it has to be prescribed by a doctor, nothing by anybody else. So you have to visit your doctor and let the doctor decide which medicine is perfect for you, whether you can stay at home quarantine, or you have to admit in the hospital or ICU or what. They are the best just to advise you on that.
Thank you. And one more thing, there are people who say कि एक बार हो गया अब मुझे ठीक है अब मैं को अब नहीं होगा. I mean, it's not chicken pox, is it? It can happen again and again. The viral loads, the viral strains. Can you just quickly talk about that? Because there are people who are thinking कि भाई एक बार हो जाए बस फिर we are sorted.
So even the chicken pox can happen again. If we are thinking that it will not happen again, that can also happen again. We have a lot of chicken pox which comes in the second and third time. But anyways, so the the viral immunities usually, you will definitely get the immunity. In fact, recently now we have also have antibody tests where you can check your titers, that whether you have developed the antibodies after developing an infection or not. But the main problem with this virus, though obviously as we progress further we'll know more and more about this virus, but the main problem with this virus keep mutating. So mutation means the virus keep changing its structure. So the after 15 days or 1 month you may see though we will still call it a COVID-19 or the novel coronavirus, the exact virus is completely changed. So you can always have a reinfection with the different strain of the virus. So I at this point I would still say that no one is immune to the virus. Even if you have got an infection, you still need to take all the precautions which has been advised for everybody. It's not that if you have got the infection, you will never have another infection. You still need to take all the precautions.
Thank you, doctor. I'll come back to you. Dr. Shalini. Let's unmute.
Yeah.
Dr. Shalini.
Yeah, you can hear me?
Yes, I can. Dr. Shalini, can you talk about the standard line of management that a COVID patient goes through, starting from the point that they suspect something and they come to you or the hospital? What happens then?
So as we are in the COVID pandemic, almost every fever now should be taken as a COVID. So anyone who has a fever which is lasting for more than 48 hours should visit a doctor. Now, very important when you do a swab test and it comes positive. So I'm not really going to go into the details of the treatment because that doesn't make sense on a public platform, but the general guidelines, because there are certain people who may be absolutely asymptomatic and were being tested for something else and turn out to be COVID positive. These are the asymptomatic COVID positive patients. They actually do not require any treatment, only monitoring is required. Second group is the symptomatic patients, in whom we have the mild, moderate, and the severe category. Again, I want to stress that the mild patients do not require to be hospitalized, and we should not insist on getting hospitalized unless the patient is more than 60 years of age or suffering from comorbid conditions like diabetes, heart disease, cancer treatments, on dialysis and things where admission is required. It is very important that now we have so many patients and beds are really scarce. We cannot allot them to patients who do not require hospital care. These patients are advised home quarantine or home isolation, and they are monitored there. In case at any point of time you feel the fever is not going even after 5 to 6 days, or if the oxygen level is coming down, or you're feeling breathless, you should report to the hospital. And that is the time probably the patient should get admitted. Now, what we generally treat patients is of the moderate category. And of course, ICU patients go directly into the severe category, goes into the ICU.
Perfect.
So what we at the ward level treat is a moderate category of patients who require oxygen. And there is a standard treatment protocol now which has been laid down from a Ministry of Health and ICMR, and which includes antivirals. Steroid is a mainstay of treatment. As Dr. Arpita has described, there's a lot of thrombosis which happens. So blood thinners like heparin are used for these patients. And of course, oxygen is a mainstay of treatment. Also, these patients take some time. These are not like other viral illnesses where, within 3 days, 5 days, patients get better. The moment they come with a moderate disease, the average length of stay is at least 10 days for this patient, even in the wards. So, everyone has to understand that this is a new disease and we are still not sure what's going to happen, because we are seeing a lot of patients who are coming back with MIs and other thrombotic events. So we have to be a little slow with their treatment. We cannot be in a hurry to discharge them.
Ma'am, based on your answer, I had a question. Say you advise a patient quarantine at home, isolation, the typical separate bathroom, a separate room. So there is somebody like that. I know that we have facilities at the hospital, at the Hiranandani Hospital, where that can be monitored, right, on a day-to-day basis as to when, till when a patient is fine, at what point, if at all, they need to be taken to the hospital. So can you talk about that so that people watching us around Pavai, they're not scared of, an eventuality. So can you just, let's say if somebody young or forget young, let's say somebody gets it. And
someone young or someone with no comorbidities has a mild disease. So these patients are generally advised to home quarantine. What involves in a home quarantine is you need to be separated from the family. You should have an independent room with an attached washroom. Your clothes and utensils should be separate. That is important. Second, you need to be monitoring yourself. One is the temperature, to see how the temperature is going. Second is your oxygen level. So there's a simple machine called as pulse oximeter which comes. And also some people who have Samsung mobiles, they have an infrared app in which you can yourself monitor your oxygen level at home. If the oxygen level is more than 95%, it is usually considered safe. Other test, which is a very good simple test to see whether you desaturate or your oxygen level goes down, is a 6-minute walk test, which anyone can do. They should walk at a medium pace for about 6 minutes and check the oxygen level at the end of 6 minutes. If the oxygen level does not drop below 95, then it's a good indicator that you're holding well. In case your oxygen level drops at the end of 6-minute walk test, then that is the time surely that you need to visit a hospital. And I think our hospital is offering this home quarantine services, wherein you can connect with a doctor online and who can alternate day take a review of your medical condition, and in case you have any doubts, that can be cleared online.
Thank you, ma'am. And one last thing, I have seen you in your PPE gear, all suited. Just quickly tell me how a typical day these days looks like.
I think it is only coming out of PPE and getting into PPE. It's work, work, and work. What always plays in our mind is only the patient. I don't think I'm thinking about anything else these days except the patients and what we can do and how we can make our protocols better and how we can prevent even a single patient from the ward going into the ICU. That's my target every week when I work in the COVID ward, is how many patients did I have to send to the ICU and what I could have done better, So that's my typical thought process at this point of time.
Thank you, ma'am. You all are praiseworthy, and no amount of praise can repay you guys for what you're doing. So thank you so much. We'll come back to you. Thank you so much. Dr. Swapnil, please unmute, sir.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Hi.
Hi.
Lungs are most spoken about in this disease. So the first question would be, say someone recovers, but what about the long-term damages? What do the stats say? Let's say percentage, the bell curve. What's happening? What are we looking at?
If we see, we are more concerned about the post COVID lung fibrosis, which can happen in almost around 25% of the patients, and it reduces the lung volume in those patients. So the total lung capacity reduces by approximately 25%. This is the European data which has come up. Okay. So now if we see in terms of SARS was a coronavirus disease which happened in China in 2003. And similarly, it has also similar manifestations which we are seeing in the COVID-19. So the data from the SARS, the post disease data which has come up, has shown that patients approximately took around 2 years to recover from the interstitial fibrosis and to gain the functional decline which happened to the lungs during the infectious period. If we project it in the long term, we see that approximately 5% of the patients had pulmonary fibrosis even after a 15-year follow-up with the SARS. So that way, you can think that around 5% of the patients, or if we say, there are certain studies which have pointed out that the COVID-19 is less severe as compared to the SARS, then even we can safely presume that around 2 to 3% of the patients will be facing the pulmonary fibrosis issues around, say, in 10 to 15 years time.
Sir, that is 2 to 3%. I'm also interested when we spoke about the moderate cases, the cases that recover at home, the cases that are we. I mean, I know that statistics will take time to develop, and it's very hasty to ask, just as it's with respect to vaccination so fast. But what is your prognosis, if that's the right word? Somebody who recovers at home, will they see some lasting effects? Or?
No, hopefully they will not see the lasting effects. They will recover almost at a good pace in another, say, 6 months to 2 years time. Okay. The data which I talked about is mostly came from the hospitalized patients, those who are hospitalized with a moderate to severe disease, or those who went on ventilator. So they have a decline in the lung capacities, they have a decline in the diffusion index, that way.
Okay, sir. Thank you. That is sir, as Mumbaikas, we are already subject to quite a worse air quality. Almost all of our children have, something. I mean, it's not the best. But do you think this overall, as a systemic thing, worsens it as our exposure to the COVID grows? And
yes, so air pollution is going to adversely affect us, like directly also it makes the individuals more susceptible, more sensitive to the severe disease. And if we see, say in terms of recovery, it hampers the recovery, the faster recovery in the COVID patients. And it can also result into more sensitive airways post-infection. So like some patients will have frequent lung infections even after recovering from the coronavirus infections.
So any quick tips? I know it's
so the tips I would say, keep yourself protected. This as we see the impact of the mask. So mask is going to impact us positively in terms of say transmission of the communicable diseases like tuberculosis, flu. We expect that we are going to see lesser number of patients of these diseases in the coming years. Okay, and similarly the mask will also help the patients from the pollution. So that way also the airway will be impacted less.
Sir, one last question. A lot of people are going on Amazon and buying oxygen cylinders.
Yes.
So what is your view on that? There should be also...
So see, oxygen cylinder is not required. If you are maintaining a saturation of say 96-97% and you don't have any lung illness per se, so there is no need to have a extra oxygen cylinder at home, or to buy an oxygen concentrator at home. But if some people like those who are having lung issues, those who are having a severe asthma, COPD, or interstitial lung disease, and having a borderline saturation, then in those cases it is recommended to use the oxygen concentrators at home.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much. It's relief to know that that there's a lot of people who know so much and looking after you if need be. Thank you, sir. Dr. Pahuja,
Yes, good evening.
hello. Thanks for patiently waiting. It's always good to see you. My favorite question to you, immunity. You are an expert on what should be eaten and what's the best way to look after yourself. More than a doctor, I think you are someone who can guide for a longer time. So I want you to speak about that. I want you to speak about nutrition, about the metabolic, your aspects, that diabetes, comorbidity, all of that.
So, first of all, we understand that immunity is not something which is individual entity. Okay, it is a system, and it means harmony and balance, right? Harmony and balance of mind and body. That will categorize as immune system. So for that, we need to keep your mind and body both healthy, right? Taking vitamins, herbal medicines is not going to help the immunity, right? It is the right kind of diet, exercise, a good sleep, having or leading a good lifestyle, what we in sense is going to keep your immunity up to date, right? Now, the only issue is that people understand that, well, that if you do something like this excessively, you are going to get a better immune system, or if I eat this one, my immune system is going to get better. Remember, from the viral aspect, the immune system has to be optimum. What is optimum means? It should not underdo and it should not overdo also. Most of the patients who are dying because of cytokine storm, probably the immune system is overdoing in them, right? That's why they are dying. Or patients who don't have immune system, compromised immune system, like diabetic patients, where the virus is having a field day because the immune system cannot detect the virus, is not able to protect them, and that's why they get, the damage is seen in late phase. Like they start developing symptoms, and probably they worsen on the 10th or 11th day. We have seen that, and I think my co-colleagues, physicians will vouch for that. That sometimes the presentation is so delayed that we are also awestruck. What's happened? Patient was doing fine for 10 days, and suddenly he's gone thrown a storm. So these kind of patients, this is a immune system play. Absolutely, virus is just attacking your body. Rest, what is happening is because of immune system. If you keep your immune system optimum, that's why I'm using optimum, then only you can save yourself from the virus. And coronavirus has pressed a reset button for you. So go back to the roots, what you were eating earlier, traditional diet, whole grains, low fat, low carbohydrate, less of simple carbohydrates, stop smoking, exercise, yoga, good sleep, everything will preserve your immune system and keep it to optimum.
Thank you, sir. Sir, suspected long-term damages from your point of view. We spoke about the lungs and the pulmonary, but the body recovers from COVID. What are the long-term damages for moderate or, let's say, severe cases as well?
Yes, so since this new day, we are offering every new unknowns for us in the coronavirus disease. Whatever data we have or whatever learnings we have from the previous coronavirus infections, there we can extrapolate here. And whatever we are seeing for the last 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months, we can only advise on that. That patients who are getting discharged, maybe after 5, 7 days or 10 days, they are getting a thrombotic complications. Thrombotic means they are getting clots in either the lung veins or in the leg veins, which is called DVT or pulmonary embolism. They are coming with heart attacks as well. So this is one of the issues, the immediate complications post-discharge, maybe long-term, they may be prone to heart disease. We don't know, we need to have more research on that, that once they get infected from the virus, their immune system or the coagulation system, the clotting system is working in a different way, makes them vulnerable for further or future heart disease or pulmonary disease. That is one thing. Second thing, we are also seeing a lot of brain related side effects from the virus, headaches, dizziness, something like other viruses do. They can leave the eyesight vulnerable. They can cause neuritis. Patients may have eye problems with the eye. Patients can have problem with the memory, which we have demyelination. So all these things can be seen in the future, which we don't know, still unknown, but we are seeing a lot of them, presentations and headache. So neurological system is getting impacted. As Dr. Swapnil said, pulmonary system is already vulnerable because of the fibrosis, and long-term lung impact is going to be there. Apart from that, the fertility is also getting compromised. The main, especially if you see, the virus is affecting more males. So, and the virus seemed to attack the testes of the patients because of receptors attacking, causing the fertility issues in the long term, right? Also, there are other effects which have been known, that there is kidney-related side effects, which we talk about. Maybe the infection which is coming to these patients who are absolutely healthy, leading to acute kidney problems, and later on they persist with the kidney issues. So all these things probably we will have to watch out for in the future. So these things I think we have to look for. And apart from that, of course, stress, mind issues, depression, anxiety, so many things coming up, mental issues. So all these things are we have to see and watch out for in all these patients.
So, like Dr. Chatterjee said, it's a marathon.
It's a drag-on epidemic. I said to Dr. Chatterjee in March, if I remember.
Yeah, so much has changed since then. Thank you, Dr. Pooja. As always, a pleasure talking to you. And now to the man in the yellow, Sunshine, Dr. Harish. Hello. So I think unmuting you, please. Yes. Hello, sir. Enough has been said about the fact that all of us needs one now. There is no single question. It is, how do we keep our sanity right now? And if the COVID doesn't get you, the fear of COVID gets you. That's what we were talking just before we went live.
I think before that, I would like to remind people that this is part of life. This is part of life. And this has to be part of life. Even if there is partial lockdown, please don't let your guard down. As somebody said, even if you let your guard down for a few seconds, you had it. Dr. Arpita said that. Secondly, I would like to thank all our doctors, because I've referred 8 patients, 84-year-old, 70-year-old, 68-year-old, and they all went back home. They required 10 liters of oxygen, 8 liters of oxygen, 6 liters of oxygen. Every day when I used to call all these doctors, they would say, "Abhi thoda 8 liter lagta hai, abhi maine ye injection diya." And secondly, none of them had very great expense. I mean, that is phenomenal. We have maintained the cost as guided by us, by our state government and the central government. So these are the 2 hallmarks, and I'm really indebted to all my doctors. As far as stress is concerned, let me tell you one thing, that I extend the argument of immunity by Dr. Vimal Pahuja. Let me spend 30 seconds on what immunity is. We all have done complete blood count, yes. We all have seen white blood count, yes. We have seen lymphocytes. Inside a body, we have 0.22, 0.32, we have AK-46, AK-57. The T lymphocytes are the border security force. They identify virus has come or bacteria has come. They mark it, and then the white blood cells go and attack it and finish it off. That is the basic concept of immunity. How does it get completely destroyed? You are free for 3 months, you sit down in front of your Netflix and don't sleep. You wonder what is happening to you, but sleep can destroy the T lymphocyte response. Your immunity can go down. If you really play around with your sleep, your immunity can go down. Deprivation of sleep is worse than insomnia. The second most important thing is the stress axis which we have is very well governed by God, hypothalamo-pituitary adrenal axis. You play around with it, there is a rain of cortisol in the brain. It's like applying hydrocortisone cream to your skin. The T lymphocytes settle down and your immunity is compromised. So taking care of mental health is as important as taking care of diet, exercise, yoga, and other things. So please, my dear friends, please understand that you need to preserve your mental health, to preserve your immunity, and preserve your life. The second most important thing is fear is a natural consequence. Arpita is from a different planet. I am not from the different. I'm scared. I'm a little worried. It's normal for me because Fear is normal. Arpita, I admire her. I admire her the way she walks inside the ICU. And when she removes the PP, I've seen her. She's smiling. That really solves half the problem. So when I have fear, I'm conscious. I'm rational. I use science, tequila shot of science. And I remind myself I don't have to close to the virus. I have to stay away from the virus. I have to be clean and I have to watch. But when the fear overwhelms the mind, you get anxiety, you get panic attacks. I had this young man from Vikhroli coming to hospital. And by the way, non-COVID patients are coming to hospital without fear. And that's the fantastic aspect of hospital because we have clearly classified areas for our activities. My OPDs are full. And when they come, there was this guy who said, I had a computer class, but it has stopped. I have not given rent for 3 months. But the guy is not asking me for rent, but I am not sleeping for 7-8 days. So that is panic. That's difference between fear and panic. And that panic has to be treated immediately to protect your immunity. The only thing we can do, as Dr. Chatterjee said, is protect your brain. 1200 grams or billions of neurons. Let it fire and let the voltage be good. And if you protect your brain, you'll manage your life even when you have no job because creative ideas will come to you. You'll find new options. Your light in the brain will not be extinguished. And this is the most important thing we need to do. This 2020, hang on the earth, hang around the earth, chill on the earth, stay on the earth. And with this motto, I think we need to use 5 things. I use this word Panchamrit, which everybody has to follow. Yoga, I'm not saying it. Harvard said it. When Harvard School says something, everybody listens. Exercise, no, you have no gym, no problems. Walk in the house. I walk 10,000 steps, 7 to 8 kilometers every day. Diet, as somebody said. Sleep, as I always say, remember sleep is not arithmetic, it is architecture. It's deep sleep, 1, 2, 3, 4, then dream sleep, then deep sleep and dream sleep, and you get out of dream sleep fresh. And the last thing is, my dear friend, kindness has been found to improve your immunity. Next 10 seconds I will take. In Harvard, when 132 people were told to watch a video of Mother Teresa, their immunoglobulins increased. Recorded research. And in another group where they were told to think about being kind, their immunoglobulins increased. So my dear friends who are watching, write good things on WhatsApp, write good things on FB. Don't write very negative, hateful things. Write positive things, and that will really help you to improve your immunity. With this, I stop.
Thank you, sir. I think I have so many questions in my mind to ask. So I think maybe another absolutely fresh panel, but this was great. Quick one, you said take care of your brain. And I know you gave us ways to do it, but could you still give us 3 more precise ways of dealing with the new normal, staying with family 24/7, no friends, no coffees, no workspace, no work friends? 3 quick ways so that we can literally shout across over the roof.
Globalization has disconnected us. Corona has reconnected us with the family. But excessive reconnection is not good. You have to reconnect to your safety net, to your friends where you can be emotionally nude. And I meet my friends twice a week and we use the most explicit words in all languages. So is it important to be connected to your safety net? That's number 1. Number 2, reorganize your dreams. If your son cannot go to USA for studying, accept it. As Dr. Niranjan said, that he has not seen this in his lifetime. I have not seen this in my lifetime. Accept it. Accept uncertainty as it is. If you are in the lounge of an airport and if a plane is late, some people rush to that girl and abuse her to an extent that their immune systems fail. Some people sit on the chair and abuse everybody, and they're worse than those guys who abuse. Some people like me, we get up, we shout a little, come back and make friends. I have made more friends in the airport lounges than in my life. So accept uncertainty as it is. And that I think is the most important thing. Reorganize your dream, live one day at a time. Beckham said 1 goal at a time. If your son or daughter cannot go to USA, if you cannot go to a different city, accept this as it is. Things will unfold if you can rework your dream and if you protect your mind-body equation. 10 seconds. If the mind and the body sing, there is music. But if there is jigalbandi, there will be destruction. So let us sing our mind and bodies, like write good things on Facebook, WhatsApp, and all other medias. And of course, get upset when you want to get upset, but be positive. Intense hate anywhere will interfere with love everywhere. It will destroy you.
Fantastic, sir. As always, prolific speaker. You talked about WhatsApp and Facebook and people writing mean things. We have seen a lot of ire towards the medical community, not today, but for the longest time. And now I hear and see doctors being ostracized in societies ki ye frontline pe ja rahe hain, inka alag kar do ghar, inko bhi. How do doctors, and I know that I really feel for it, how do doctors deal with that, especially in India? And when you're going, like all the doctors here, all that they can think of is caring for the patient, making sure the patient is out of the hospital. How do you then rationalize that? What goes in the doctor's mind, sir?
We are 6 psychiatrists in a hospital, and all of us talk to each other. And when we support each other, we're able to really deal with it. Austin is here. There are other 4 more in our hospital. When we all talk to each other, we deal with it. And second is, we understand that fear can cause paranoia. Fear can cause suspicion. I'll give you an example in 15 seconds. A building secretary and the building chairman phoned me up and said, we have 3 patients in a wing. What to do? I said, what do you mean what to do? I didn't say that. In my mind, I said, what do you mean what to do? I said, you know what? They have children, you have children, they play with each other. Of course, my kids, and they're a good friend. Ask your kids to start speaking to them on video chats. The coronavirus does not travel through the video chat. And when they started talking, the kids calmed down. Similarly, when I asked them, who are they? Oh, well, he's a doctor, but he was part of our committee, he was a secretary last year. Very nice guy. Start talking to him on the video chat. And then they started talking. Then I told them, leave some food outside their door so that they can eat. And after some time, the fear settled. When fear is expressed, when fear is rationalized, when the fear is understood, paranoia goes down, and I think compassion. Human beings are naturally compassionate. Very few discover it in their lifetime. Corona has given an opportunity.
Very well said, sir. Thank you. I'm going to move to Dr. Austin. Dr. Austin, thank you for being so patient.
Hi, hello.
Hello. Sir, Dr. Arpita and of course Dr. Chatterjee also mentioned that you are the one who talks to the doctors, who looks after the doctors' mental health. And when I say mental health, I mean they're going through so much. So can you tell us what are the challenges that they're facing? Can you tell us again how they're rationalizing all this negativity sometimes that arises around them when they are out to do their bit, and tell us what do you do in a day with them? We would want to know more about that.
Hi. So, first of all, it's very difficult to speak after Dr. Hari Shetty speaks because he's almost covered everything off. And then, I have to think what different do I talk right now. But yes, this is a new virus. Okay, it has caught everyone off guard. We did not know what's coming, what's going to hit us. Okay, there's a lot of fear of the unknown because it was a unseen enemy. We did not know. And it's not only me, all of us psychiatrists have been talking to our doctors in turn. But if you see the news and everywhere, doctors, they are considered as a source of infection. You would have heard of societies where they have told doctors, you go and find another alternative place to stay. This is not is going to affect us, and you're going to pass on the infection to us. And also, doctors were initially, when the COVID-19 started, doctors were very anxious to see the patients physically, whether, we don't know which patient are positive, which patient are not. Patients were just hiding our histories. And also, the patients were very wary of coming and seeing the doctors. All this had a lot of anxiety. By talking to the doctors, we realized that anxiety was there everyone. Initial anxiety was there everywhere. But then over a period of time, there were people who reacted positively. There were people who were still negatively looking at the situation. But the ones who were positive in their approach, they were the ones who were ready to take it head on. They were the ones who managed all the duties comfortably. They were the ones who had no problems at all. And the ones who were anxious found it difficult. Even after the duties, they thought that, oh, what if I spread the infection to someone else and all that. So we try to bring out positivity in them. We try to bring them do a lot of relaxation exercises, tried how to bring on positive well-being, and that is how it helped. So different things that we told him to focus on is one of the things, hobbies. Hobbies makes us lift our mood, makes us divert our attention from all our anxieties. Okay, endorphins are released when we do something positive or good hobby, especially in physical activity. Hobbies makes us lift our mood, makes us divert our attention from all our anxieties. I think I'm going. Hello?
No,
Can you
you're
hear
not.
me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Right. We asked them to use a lot of laughter, a lot of humor, around people when they meet people. Then what we tell all of them is COVID-19 is here to stay. Okay. 10 years later, 20 years later, 30 years later, when we talk to our children, when we talk to our grandchildren, okay, when we talk of Corona, we should talk about positive memories, what we have done, rather than the negative memories and the fear. So we need to build these positive memories. And how do we build these positive memories? By doing something new that we like, by doing something collectively, family or something else. In fact, I have told all my doctors and all my patients to try some of the YouTube challenges, Dalgona challenge, and bake the cakes at home, do something which is out of the box, which you've not tried before. Okay, so that is the way how you have to move on.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. How does a typical day look like?
A typical day, obviously, lesser patients now physically, more through the virtual world. In fact, even my doctors right now, I'm seeing their faces after a long time. Probably they are seeing my faces after a long time, because whenever we see each other, we are in masks. So, but yes, a lot of teleconsultations, a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression. People are coming out with symptoms. The lockdown, the isolation. See, human beings are social animals. Okay, keeping them in isolation for such a long time is going to increase a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, and those patients are coming in a lot. Even patients with previous symptoms who are, relatively better with medications, their symptoms are exacerbated. So basically, just calming them down, relaxation exercises, and some moderation of medications.
Thank you, sir. So thank you so much. So we've done with our individual questions.
I would just like to add, doctors, it's become very difficult for them to cope right now. Okay, but every moment of a life is like a Bollywood song, I would say. And the song which fits in perfectly right now is "Yu hi chala chal rahi, yu chala chal rahi, kitni haseen hai ye duniya."
Do you want to sing that?
No, I'm sure everyone will run away if I sing that.
Well, it's so amazing to see all of you doctors and of course Dr. Niranjan so bright, positive, and honestly that has been my personal journey through this as well. I've been at home for 3 months and we have had a fantastic time as dealing with work and managing a team and everything, but we can do it if we one day at a time. I think that is the best thing to do. Overthinking will not get us anywhere. So we'll have a few talking points. Dr. Niranjan, if I may come back to you. The one thing that so many people wrote to us when they saw that you're coming is that we are entrepreneurs, small, medium, large. We don't know where this is going. What do we do how do we see this? Is this a 0 year? It's easy to say that for someone, but for someone who's invested and, there are many, many manifestations to it. What is an approach? What is the overall 10,000 feet approach to this?
There are two aspects of it. One, which Arpita talked about, which is fear, and Dr. Harish Shetty clarified that we're always afraid of the situation that comes up at the present. And obviously, when we look at the coronavirus, this is certainly a thing to be fearful of. But what do you do? This is exactly the reason why we had this interaction today. So you understand the importance of what care you need to take. Similarly, in the case of a business, you need to take care of the present situation. And if it is going down, you need to take care of the situation that happens in the business world, which is take care of the cash, see that you reduce your expenditure, look at the thing. But no depression is forever. In my whole lifetime, I've seen at least 7 major disruptions taking place. So this is not the first time. Maybe this is the worst, but certainly not the first. And hence, we always know that bad times follow good times and good times follow bad times. Sometimes in economics, you have the V curve, and you have the U curve, and you have the W curve, and you can see it also on the monitors of the doctors that it keeps on waving. And as long as it is moving up and down, you know at least you're alive. So the very fact that this curve is not permanently down is something you should be happy about. But economics is all about that. And that is what entrepreneurship is all about. So take care of the present, as you would do in the case of a coronavirus. Take care of the present in terms of saving in whatever respect that you can possibly do, but also prepare strategically when things will become all right. So if you don't plan for the future and start thinking about it, the future will not come to you. So you don't just sit and say, okay, good times are going to come and God will bring it to me. That doesn't work at all. So you got to prepare for good times, and you got to work towards it in order to see that the new change which is there. And that's why the world post-COVID will be a new world completely, both in terms of probably infection control, as the doctors have talked about, or it is about the business world that is going to take place, is going to be very different. Take care of the present beyond imagination, because you got to live to see the next day. So if you take care of your present business, look after it in the minimal possible way, I think things will be all right in the future, and it will come back. I promise you that it will come back. The only thing is, we don't see the light in the tunnel when you got a PPE suit on you. So obviously it doesn't look so good at this point of time. And when you see bad patients, it's even worse. So I can quite understand the minds of an entrepreneur, a small entrepreneur who's actually having difficulty.
Thank you, sir. That puts in perspective. So what you're saying is brace yourself. Thank you, sir. To all of you and any of you, as we unlock, because we have to open up, what are the few top tips that people with families and everything, what are the few things that no one should ever compromise? All of you said, don't take unnecessary risk, the mask, the social norms. But is there anything else as people prepare to go to offices and the whole works? Can you, any of you, throw a light on that quickly? Because that's been a very popular question as well.
Yeah, well, with the lockdown opening up, I mean, the phase of opening up, let's understand one thing, that there may be a slight spike or an increase in the number of cases. It's likely to happen. So that shouldn't be an immediate fear that the main curve of the corona was not flattened. So therefore, I think that is something that people should bear in mind when you do have this opening up. There are times that you see while you're driving, three youngsters on a scooter with no mask and, talking to each other with their chins on the other's shoulder. Now, I mean, how clever is that? So this will also translate into people traveling. You're going to be traveling on trains, which has already opened up, but only for essential services. There's going to be a bus service. There's going to be carpooling. So therefore, this is going to create a certain amount of spike. So number of cases will increase. So that does, that's something that one really should be, aware of. I'm not saying concerned about, but aware of that this is inevitable. And when that happens, it doesn't mean that the curve has come back again or the numbers are going to get out of control. So that's point number one. Point number two is, while you're going, into the office, I think when we sit down to eat and things like that, the masks come off. So do understand that before your meal, you have to wash your hand. After your meal, you need to wash your hand. Please clean up the space that you were sitting in. And sanitizers and etc. need to be provided everywhere. So there are certain responsibilities which land with the organization, and there are certain responsibilities which should be put on the staff also. So therefore, you have to be aware of the fact that you can't, pick from another's table like you did in the old days and, break bread. That concept needs to go. I mean, I don't know whether I'm very clear on this, but I think these are certain things. There will be organization responsibilities and people responsibility, employee responsibility also. Don't just charge into the lift. If you've got a small lift, maybe 3 people. You've got a large lift, maybe 6 people, but nothing more than that. And if you're standing in the lift, why don't you face the metal side of the lift and not, look at each other and start talking? I mean, those sort of things need to be done, but that all will come through experience. But if we bear it in mind, and this is a takeaway from this talk, then I think it'll help people a lot. I mean, that's, from my point of view.
This is my point, that I think in a community like ours, where people are connected, aware, educated, they have gone through the various cities of the world, it's the right time to practice very, very high social etiquette, so that we can lead and we can inspire others to do the same. So I think it sounds fair. One more thing I had in my mind. So a lot has been said about the air, the air conditioned air in the offices. So I know hospitals like yours are perfectly, they have so much of their air quality and it's taken care of, but that won't happen in offices, right? That's not how they are wired. So would that also, is that something of concern at all when people start going back to full working spaces in a month or two, let's say, at full capacities or half even?
Yeah, well, I think that, rather than the air conditioning, the air circulation is very important. So therefore, you can't keep an air conditioner on and open your windows. So therefore, you have to, we have to draw a line somewhere. So I think air circulation is important, and I think Shalini and Vimal, as well as Neeraj and Swapnil will, be able to contribute. We had a problem in the wards. Our passages are 90 feet long. And so the doctors felt, we'd switched off the air conditioning. So therefore the doctors felt that tremendous heat. So we bought small air coolers. That didn't work. We then brought in fans. Well, that didn't work. Then we brought in, what we have is treated fresh air handling units, which is not air conditioned, but at the same time, the cold air of the air conditioning and the hot air of the conditioning pass by each other, so the temperature drops. And we've started blowing that in along with the fans. That seemed to help. I would request Shalini, as well as Vimal and Neeraj, as well as Swapnil, to comment on this. That what was the environment like, and did it improve ultimately? I mean, that's something that they should add to.
No, I think Sir has correctly said. When we joined, the ward in the month of March, it was so humid. Even a normal PP, it was just sweat in 1 hour or 2 hours. And as he said, that all the ACs were switched off, and there were just fans, and fans only on the ceilings. That is also, we don't have much. So it was too hot. Then gradually, we tried the cooler make it more humid. Then the fans did not work. I think what the AHU sir has said, that probably, now the environment is much easier. We are staying in the ward almost 6 to 8 hours without having much of the issues. Even, without even, you don't sweat like how we used to sweat before. Earlier, it was very difficult to stay there more than 2-3 hours, but now we are easily, staying there for almost 6 to 8 hours without having much of the problem. So I think that has really worked well, what sir has said correctly.
I admire your resilience.
So yes, this is what has made a difference, because I remember doing the PPs earlier and used to drenched in sweat completely before, and I used to get migraine headaches daily after wearing the PP. So I have to popped in combiflams and painkillers like anything after using PP. The daily I used to do duty, I used to get headache because I couldn't withstand that kind of humidity and that PP. I used to drain at least 2 to 3 liters of water, and you couldn't drink and eat anything when you are in the PP. So after that, you're finishing your work, only then you can drink any water or eat something. So by that time, you're so exhausted that those health issues, actually you should be talking about wearing a mask for a long time. When we wear a mask for a long time, what happens? We are used to have little mild headaches issues because of the carbon dioxide increasing. But after using these units and improving the quality of the air, it has really helped to work to make a better place how we are working now, and we can easily carry on our duties for at least 6 to 8 hours without any problem correctly.
Shalini, what do you feel? I mean, this is something that
Yeah, I
you have
think,
been
sir,
there for day one.
that every meeting my only contention was the humidity and the heat we were facing. And I'm sure like what we are working now, it's really comfortable. And with the PPs on now, we really don't sweat, But when we started off, it was really bad. And I really thank Chatterjee for that. Because every meeting I would pester him for the same thing.
Dr. Swapnil has something to add to this?
Thank you, doctors. You've all been really.
One thing I like to add, that when you are in a PP and you're talking to the patients, we have to shout actually, and people think we are rude to them, which is not actually, because we cannot hear and our voice cannot reach them what we are trying to say. So we have to literally shout, and people think we are rude to them. It's not rudeness. Please understand your point of view. It is, we empathize with you. We understand you are ill, but we cannot communicate what we want to say with that PP and the protective gear on. So that thing probably, in the initial days there were a little bit of some frickles and fights were happened because people think we are shouting into them. It was not like that. Because of this protective gear, we had an issues with communicating with the patients, and that still remains. So they have to a little empathize with us also, that we cannot communicate in that protective gear in that well. So please understand that point. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Neeraj, I have one question, which is, I'm just taking this selfish opportunity. Monsoons are here. There is a whole lot of confusion in my head that as monsoon comes, and if children start going out, and the flu vaccine, please talk about that. And the other thing is, when other kinds of things start popping up, how do we know? We know the oximeter and everything. The hospital has kept us aware, but how do we kind of distinguish the monsoon born diseases and the onset of COVID? Can you just throw like a little bit of light on that?
Yeah, see, the COVID is going to stay here. Okay. So it's not this monsoon, maybe many more monsoons, we do not know. And the monsoon is also already started. So we are going to, have a lot of monsoon related diseases. It could be a normal flu, starting with maybe a malaria, dengue, typhoid, chikungunya, and all that, what we used to see every year. And we are flooded with these type of illnesses every year whenever the monsoon starts. Now, being the COVID along with the monsoon diseases, it will be difficult, and it will be a real challenge for us also to identify which is COVID and which is not COVID. But I think now recently we see a lot of new modalities are coming up. We are going to have a rapid antibody test already started. Rapid antigens tests are also coming up. The RT-PCR turnout time is also getting better. So there is no certain way to rule out that somebody is having COVID or not COVID. We have to suspect maybe most of the patient coming up with the fever, because fever is the most important symptom in cases of the COVID and also other monsoon related illness. So we have to suspect maybe most of the patient has a COVID. We might need to rule out that the patient is having a COVID or not, because most of the things presenting with dengue is also viral illness, COVID also viral illness. Even the CBC criteria remains same, the changes which happens in the COVID as well as the dengue. So multiple things which, the cross with each other. So we have to suspect dengue, we have to suspect COVID, and we have to, take definitely, the lot of efforts to rule out the things. And COVID comes on the priority. We have to rule out the COVID first, and then also need to look out at the dengue and malaria and other typhoid illnesses. Now, regarding the flu vaccine, the flu is one of the flu vaccine is one of the very important vaccine which is there, and which is a preventable, the vaccine. Now, entire world is talking about the COVID-19 vaccines. Why we are talking? Because the vaccine is the only way to give you a herd immunity, and a vaccine is the only way to prevent the disease at mass. So we are yet to get, there is a lot of time to get the COVID vaccine, but the flu vaccine is there. There are a lot of flu cases which are going to come up. We are going to have a H1N1, the swine flu also. The flu vaccine is there. The flu vaccine, if you take it, you can at least prevent 60 to 70% of the chances having a flu. Also, even if you get a flu, the intensity and the severity of the flu will be much lesser than a person who has not taken the vaccine. So the vaccine is very easy. It has to be taken every year. So I will recommend everybody. It is everybody who is 5 years or more, up to a 60, 65, 70 years of illness age. Everybody can take this vaccine. So and everybody should take this vaccine so that we can prevent something which is preventable, something which is not preventable in not our hands. We have to take care and we have to diagnose and treat accordingly.
Thank you, sir. I really wanted that to not get missed. I think we can go on forever, but I think it's been an hour and a half. So this was absolutely stunning. The biggest takeaway for me, and I'm sure the audience, was that we salute the grit, the courage, and the absolute compassion that all of you doctors are dealing with this. And I know because right at the start of the COVID, when a lot of people in Powai were questioning, why is our hospital doing this? And we knew there was a plan, and that is working. The hospital is extremely well prepared, for COVID, for non-COVID, for looking after people at home, for dealing with teleconsultations, the flu vaccine, the works. And it feels very reassuring and very safe. And so I want to thank all of you on the behalf of Powai Life and Powai people. And also Dr. Niranjan for, of course, as I said in the beginning, the foresight that not just tick boxes, to have an amazing hospital in a community and leading the way. And on your words of advice work for me as well as a small entrepreneur, that brace yourself, it's fine, one day at a time. So, sir, I think parting words from Dr. Chatterjee and you, and then we will call it a day. So, Dr. Chatterjee first.
I'm very happy that you conducted this. We wanted to reach out to as many people and try and give our point of view that we are there. You will be secure, and I'm sure we are slowly getting on top of this virus, and we're going to beat it. So therefore, Mumbai for Mumbaikars. And we are not going to give up this fight, and we are going to win this battle. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Ranjan.
Wow, fantastic work done by the doctors. I must again and again congratulate all of you. They are superior human beings. I really am very, very proud of each and every one of you. I know the trouble and pain that you have gone through and the sense of commitment and drive that you have done. I cannot say less because there is in my heart and mind, it's all for you to make me proud of what you are doing. I'm sure my father, Dr. Hiranandani, would be equally proud wherever he is. And will look down upon you with all the heart that you're doing a super fantastic job. Keep it up and keep the compassion going. Thank you.
This is a legacy well carried forward, sir. And so one last, your message to Powai.
Oh, don't worry. As Dr. Harish Sethi correctly said, we all have a little fear in our mind, and that's okay. But use that fear to take care of yourself. And don't be foolish about it. So that's the right way to take it up, and see to it that we really take it. Keep your hands well washed, keep your mask, and let's go forward with the right foot forward. Life will go on. And Dr. Tulara also said that this COVID is here to stay. And I think everyone else has also realized that. But we know we have become more capable of handling these problems as times go by, as more medicines come, and we become better and better equipped to solve these problems. All the best.
Thank you so much. Thanks, all of you. This was fantastic and an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
doctors. Thank you.